The story of 50 years of history for Productive Alternatives Incorporated is a story of vision and perseverance. The roots of our agency began in Fergus Falls in the late 1950s. One of Minnesota's state hospitals, now known as regional treatment centers, had been located in Fergus Falls for decades. During that time, thousands of persons with disabilities and mental health issues had been housed on campuses around the state, with little thought given to their having much connection with the world outside of the hospitals. During the 1950s, efforts began to be made around the state to look at the idea of bringing people out of the hospital settings and into a more normal living arrangement. This movement also included the world of work and how persons with disabilities might be integrated into that world. This was a concept that had mostly been promoted in metropolitan areas. However, led by a visionary group of local citizens involved in the Associated for Retarded Children, the County Welfare Department, the school district, state vocational rehabilitation staff, and area government leaders, the idea of starting a then-called sheltered workshop was pursued. In 1959, the Lake Region Sheltered Workshop was legally incorporated as a not-for-profit organization, and by 1961, a federal experimental grant to determine the feasibility of operating a sheltered workshop in a rural area was secured. The idea of operating a sheltered workshop in Fergus Falls was based on the concept that people could be taken out of the state hospital and, along with living in smaller residential settings, could be gainfully employed in the community. This would not only provide people with a more normal lifestyle, but would also give them the opportunity to earn a wage and pay taxes, expand the labor force in the community, and enjoy the sense of pride that comes with working. The result of these ideas and efforts was the purchase and operation of the first sheltered workshop setting in the area in September of 1961, located at 124 South Vine in Fergus Falls. The intent of the site was to provide vocational opportunities to persons with disabilities by bringing in work from the business community. This would allow people to gain work skills by producing actual products that would be used and sold by the businesses. The success of that original workshop was soon exemplified by the need to move to larger buildings, to East Lincoln Avenue in 1963 and to 201 North Whitfield in 1967. That location was also known as the Old Casket Factory, as it had been used to manufacture caskets, and the sheltered workshop continued to manufacture caskets there for several more years. By 1969, 103 people were working at that location. An interesting portion of our history was Rehab Acres, which was a farm that was started in 1969 through grants and from land that had once been part of the state hospital. The farm was begun as an agricultural training program to prepare people for farm labor jobs in the area. It was billed as the only program of its kind in the nation, and at one time farmed 450 acres, owned 130 head of cattle, milked 50 registered Holstein cows, and processed 2,000 hogs in their custom butchering operation. The farming operation closed in 1980. In 1972, the Lake Region Sheltered Workshop changed its name to Lake Region Rehabilitation Industries Incorporated to better reflect its mission and times. The location was also changed again in 1976, reflecting the increasing growth of the program and the expanding vocational program offerings. A new facility was built at the current Tower Road site where 185 people were being served both in this facility and in community-based jobs, which was becoming an increasingly important program component. During this same time period of the 1960s and 1970s, the day activity centers were springing up across the state. These sites were meant to provide day programming specifically for persons with developmental disabilities, who had also previously been served in the state hospitals. There were originally 3 of these sites in Otter Tail County, in Elizabeth, Dent, and Parker's Prairie. During the 1980s, the day activity centers and Lake Region Rehab Industries both had their financial struggles, and again, through the vision and effort of the people involved with both entities, a merger was forged that became the basis of our current agency. In 1988, the official merger process was completed, and Productive Alternatives Incorporated was formed with a mission to provide the best vocational programming possible to all persons with disabilities. The outcome of this merger was a stronger, more financially viable, nonprofit agency. Following the merger, Productive Alternatives Incorporated entered a period of growth and expansion that continues to this day. Fueled by a board of directors and staff who were not afraid to be creative and take risks, the agency expanded not only its services, but its service locations, with the opening of branch offices in Moorhead and Alexandria in the early 1990s. These ventures were focused on growing the vocational options the agency could offer and the location we could provide service in. Productive Alternatives Incorporated began broadening its subcontracting capabilities and also its line of products with the agency owned and manufactured, such as the rain gauge and rattle wheel. With the expansion into other communities, the focus also grew to provide more community-based services with the goal of getting more people into competitive community jobs. At the same time, there was growth in the Day Activity Center element of the agency as well. The name of the program had been changed to Developmental Achievement Centers to reflect the move toward more community-based programming, and the sites in Elizabeth and Dent had been moved to Fergus Falls and Perham to find larger and more appropriate facilities. In 1995 and 96, Productive Alternatives Incorporated extended its operation into Little Falls and Brainerd, which represents the last major geographical expansion to date. However, programmatic expansion continued with the addition of the Willows program in 2001, which is a specialized program for persons with developmental disabilities in Fergus Falls. Also, in 2006, we built and began operating a detox facility in Fergus Falls, serving Otter Tail and the surrounding counties. In 2007, we began operating Transit Alternatives, a public transit service for Otter Tail County, with buses in Fergus Falls, Perham, and Parker's Prairie. These last 2 ventures were our first program offering that were not based in vocational services, but certainly will not be the agency's last, as other program expansions continue to be explored. Productive Alternatives Incorporated has grown and evolved considerably from that early vision. We now serve over 1,000 people each day and employ over 200 people across the agency. We are responsible for millions of dollars of wages and benefits annually to staff and to those persons we serve, and we provide many millions of dollars more of labor force to businesses in the region. Our transit systems now carry over 100,000 people and travel more than 1 million road miles each year. We are now involved in chemical and mental health services. Our product line of items that we own and manufacture continues to grow. Throughout the years, Productive Alternatives has remained focused on its founding principles to provide innovative human services at a high quality level. We have strived to continue these ideals of the original founders of the agency through the life of Productive Alternatives Incorporated. It is our intention to look to the future with that same sense of vision and spirit.